Stop settling for the scraps. You've spent your life begging for attention, craving validation like it's oxygen, desperate for anyone to see your worth, a worth you haven't yet acknowledged yourself. This is the modern soul sickness. Feeling invisible in a world that never stops staring, yet believing it's your fault for not shining bright enough. But true worth doesn't shout, chase, or explain. It simply is. The moment you grasp your intrinsic value, not the price others place on you, everything changes. You're no longer a product on a shelf, waiting for the highest bid, a devalued version of yourself because someone missed your depth. The mistake is thinking your worth needs proving instead of being perceived. Eyes that can't see the gold in its raw form aren't worthy of its polished brilliance. Believing you're ordinary will make you treat yourself as disposable, trading yourself for attention, begging for space. Always falling short not because you're small, but because you handed the world the measuring stick to view you as a luxury commodity. Stop selling yourself short, lowering your standards for connection, shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. There's no dignity in desperation, no respect in being readily available to whomever. Luxury isn't defined by how many want you, but by the rarity of your energy, the sacredness of your silence, the difficulty of accessing your inner world without merit. I know it's hard. You were taught to please, perform, prove. They told you that if you gave more love, tried harder, did more, it would finally be enough. Yet, the more you gave, the further because people don't appreciate what comes to is, they don't respect what has no boundaries. So you became an option, not because you lacked beauty or intelligence, but because you forgot your presence alone is a luxury. Luxury doesn't beg for selection. It's chosen by those with eyes to see and souls to recognize. It doesn't audition, it doesn't persuade, it simply exists. And in existing fully, unapologetically, it creates desire. Ask yourself, not what can I do to be chosen, but what must I remember to see myself as priceless? The answer: stop waiting for others to crown you when you were born wearing your own crown. Everything you hide, dilute, or edit to be more palatable is precisely what would set you apart if you embraced your intensity. Your silence, your mystery, your boundaries, your expectations. These aren't flaws. They're hallmarks of someone unwilling to be misunderstood for fleeting affection. Enter any room knowing your worth isn't up for debate, not because you're arrogant, but because you're aware. Awareness makes you stop entertaining anything that asks you to abandon yourself. Stop explaining your standards. Stop stretching yourself hoping to finally be seen. The truth is, most people see your power. They just pretend not to, hoping you haven't realized it yet, hoping you'll continue devaluing yourself for their convenience. But the moment you awaken to your worth, you become too expensive for their gain, and you must be okay with that. Be okay with being too much for those who want too little, too unavailable for those seeking easy access, superficial connection, something commonplace. You are not commonplace, and therefore you won't be for everyone. That's the point. That's the power. What's rare shouldn't be widely accessible. It should be understood only by those capable of receiving it. To be seen as a luxury, become inaccessible to those who treat you as an afterthought. Rise above the need to be chosen and choose yourself so powerfully that your absence becomes a statement. When you understand your intrinsic value, truly understand it, you stop offering discounts. Stop making yourself available to indecision. Stop waiting to be seen. You become the vision. The moment you stop needing their approval is the moment they start noticing your presence. That's the paradoxical truth no one tells you. When you're starving for validation, they sense it. People don't value what needs them, they value what doesn't. You think being kind, available, responsive, constantly proving your worth will earn you love. But those who give incessantly, limitlessly, become invisible. Being everywhere is being nowhere in particular. Being too accessible is being easily forgotten. Yet, weren't born to perform, to more for others' comfort. But somewhere along the way you were conditioned to believe that if you just did a little more, gave a little more, smiled a little more, they'd finally see you, finally stay, finally choose you. You became a mirror reflecting what others wanted to see, never what you truly are. But a mirror is only useful until the person sees their own reflection and walks away, leaving you with the emptiness of approval that never lasted. It gives you a high that disappears the moment they stop applauding, stop texting, stop needing something from you. In that silence, you panic, question what you did wrong, replay every step, thinking you could have been more. The real betrayal was abandoning yourself to feel accepted. Those who truly know their worth don't wait to be validated. They validate themselves through their standards, their solitude, their refusal to compromise their identity for temporary affection. When you make someone else responsible for your value, you give them the power to destroy you. If their approval elevates you, their rejection will break you. That's not a way to live. It's emotional slavery disguised as love. Most people remain options because they live for applause, not alignment. They want to be chosen so badly, they lose themselves in the process. But what's the value of being chosen when you had to disappear to be accepted? People are drawn to self-containment, to those unfazed by silence, to those who don't beg under pressure. There's a mystery in someone who validates themselves internally. Someone who doesn't need your yes to feel worthy, who can walk away even when they want to stay, who would rather lose a connection than lose themselves. That kind of energy is powerful. That kind of energy is rare, and rarity, by its very nature, demands attention without asking. To stop being an option, stop making your worth negotiable, stop adjusting your truth to fit their comfort. People who can't accept your full expression simply shouldn't be in your light. Let them go. You weren't born to be consumed by the mass. You were born to be revered by the few who see you clearly, without needing you to be anything other than exactly who you are. Yes, it will be lonely at first, because when you stop needing validation, you stop attracting those only interested in what you can give them. When you stand out, they'll walk away. Letting their absence isn't your loss. It's your liberation, your soul's return to its rightful place, whole, grounded, and untouchable. When you no longer seek validation, something incredible happens. You become the standard. You become the one people want to impress, win over, understand, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're not playing at all. You've left the game entirely, and in doing so, you rise silently, powerfully, authentically. What's truly valuable doesn't campaign for attention, audition for love, or dance for validation. It simply lives. And those who are meant to see it, well, people are drawn to silence more than noise. True presence doesn't come from being flashy or loud. It comes from something far deeper: the calm in your voice, the firmness in your eyes, the way you carry yourself as if you know exactly who you are, even when no one is looking. To be seen as a luxury, stop masking your emptiness and start cultivating your essence. True luxury doesn't beg for attention. It draws it effortlessly, magnetically, without trying. We live in a world where people have learned to decorate the surface while neglecting the soul, to appear desirable but not know how to be desirable, to master performance but fear the pause. They speak in curated tones, live in curated moments, forgetting that presence isn't about how you look, but the energy that accompanies you into a room. That energy can't be faked. You can wear elegance, but if you don't embody it, people will sense the gap. They always do. Your value isn't in how much attention you gather, but how little you need. The world teaches you to chase aesthetics, to build the appearance of worth. But no matter how much you decorate an empty shell, it'll always feel fragile. When you have depth, you don't need decoration. You don't need to shout your worth to be noticed. It's in your quietude, your restraint, your refusal to prove yourself. True elegance resides in someone unfazed by silence, who doesn't need to fill the space to feel seen, who understands their mere presence can shift a room, not because they're louder, but because they're more grounded. That's what people remember, not the one who needed to be everywhere, but the one who stayed silent and somehow said more without speaking. Stop focusing on visibility and start cultivating substance. To be seen as a luxury, become someone who brings value simply by existing. To do that, tap into your silent power. Know who you are when no one is applauding, when the room is quiet, when you're not being praised, desired, or adored. Because in those moments, most people unravel. But you, if you've done the work, remain whole. There's no luxury in pretense, no elegance in needing to be everything to everyone. You become magnetic when you become real, when your voice comes from somewhere rooted, not rehearsed, when your presence feels grounded, not performative. People sense it when you've done the work. They may not be able to name it, but they feel it. It's the way you don't chase, the way you don't shrink, the way you look at someone not to be seen, but to see. In that presence, people begin to respect your silence more than they respected your words before. They lean in, they listen, because your energy speaks first. When your energy is rooted in depth, people stop treating you as an option. They realize they've encountered something they don't see, often not someone desperate to be loved, but someone devoted to being real. Don't trade depth for attention. Don't trade truth for popularity. You might win the crowd, but you'll lose the crown. And the crown isn't given to the loudest. It's given to the most authentic, the one who carries an inner dignity, a sense of self unshaken by who enters or exits their life. That's where you cease to be seen as disposable. That's where people begin to respect your time, your words. You're silenced because they know it's not about how many people can see you, but how many are allowed to truly know you. Those who carry depth, who radiate presence, who don't perform to be perceived, aren't options, they're rarities. You don't become luxury by imitating it. You become luxury by embodying what can't be bought or borrowed. Those who move through life with silent strength, who feel deeply but don't collapse into every emotion, are the ones people respect. Emotional detachment isn't coldness. It's not indifference. It's mastery, the ability to feel everything and still choose how you respond. Most people are slaves to how they feel, loving when loved, disappearing when hurt, raging, breaking, mistaking that chaos for passion. True power isn't in reacting. It's in remaining grounded, especially when everything inside you wants to run, scream, or chase. Feel deeply, but cling lightly. Love someone without needing them to complete you. Care without clinging. That's where freedom begins. As long as your emotions control your decisions, you'll always be vulnerable to the whims of others. They can elevate you with a word, destroy you with silence. When people know they have that kind of access to your core, they stop respecting your boundaries. You become predictable, easy to destabilize. But when you master detachment not as a defense mechanism, but as a conscious way of being, everything shifts. You become a mystery, not because you're trying to hide, but because you're no longer leaking your energy in every direction. People start wondering what you're thinking, how you're feeling, why you didn't react. In that silence, that calm, you become powerful because people sense when they can't manipulate your emotions, and that forces them to engage with you differently. There's a dignity in not needing to prove how much you care, in not explaining every feeling, in being able to sit in discomfort without needing to resolve it immediately. That's rare. That's luxury. The world is full of but the one who feels the storm and still speaks with clarity, still moves with intention, that person becomes untouchable. This doesn't mean shutting down. It doesn't mean pretending not to feel. It means making your emotions your allies, not your captors. Learning to observe them instead of drowning in them. When someone provokes you, don't need to rage, prove your worth, or defend your value. Breathe, return to yourself, remember who you are, and from that space, respond from wisdom, not fear. Nothing is more disarming than someone emotionally unprovocable, someone unfazed by being ignored, unpursued when dismissed, unraveled when rejected. That kind of emotional discipline confounds people. It forces them to see you as someone they can't control. When they realize they can't control you, they start to respect you. Sometimes they even fear losing you. Those who maintain this kind of centeredness don't need to shout to be heard. Their calm is louder than most people's shouting. Their silence speaks louder than most people's explanations, and their absence when given feels heavier than the constant presence of others. That's the energy that makes people stop and look again, not because you asked, but because they realize they've encountered someone rare, someone unshakable, someone they can't categorize or use as a game. That's the kind of energy that prevents you from being seen as just another option. Options are chosen when convenient. Luxury is remembered even when gone. Emotional detachment is the foundation of this energy, not as a wall, but as a practice of self-respect. You care, but you don't cling. You feel, but you don't bend. You love, but you don't lose yourself. Yes, there will be people who call you distant, hard to read, maybe even cold. Let them. Their confusion isn't your concern. The misinterpretation of your strength isn't your burden to carry. Those who truly see you, who can inhabit your quietude without needing to shake it, will never ask you to break your own center just to make them feel secure. You don't need to explain your calm, justify your peace, or diminish your emotional discipline to make others feel more in control. Those who can stay silent, who can love without attachment, who can walk away without anger, are the ones who become unforgettable. Your Korean demand to be seen as valuable while constantly choosing situations where you retreated as an afterthought. That contradiction is precisely what keeps you trapped. Many crave respect, recognition, love, yet continue saying yes to what hurts them. Remaining in dynamics where they are undervalued, needed only when convenient, where their presence is tolerated, not cherished. Then they wonder why no one sees them as a priority. No one will ever treat you as a luxury if you continue to treat yourself as an option. Every time you allow someone back without accountability, minimize your needs to keep the peace, explain your worth to someone determined not to see it, you reinforce the message that you can be mistreated. People learn from patterns. If you accept crumbs, they'll never offer you the whole meal, not because you don't deserve it, but because you've shown them you'll settle for less. We train others how to treat us, not just with our words, but with our choices. It takes courage to walk away from the familiar, strength to hold your standard when your heart wants to compromise, just to feel close to someone. But each time you choose alignment over attachment, you reclaim a piece of yourself. You stop negotiating with your own dignity. You stop abandoning yourself to avoid being abandoned by someone else. Slowly, you begin to teach the world a new way to treat you, not through force or performance, but simply by refusing to stay in places that diminish your value. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. Saying no to what hurts often means entering solitude, sitting in silence, instead of chasing validation, leaving messages unanswered, doors closed, conversations unspoken, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity, out of honor to yourself. Your healing will offend those who've benefited from your lack of boundaries, but you must let them go. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them wonder what happened. You owe no one explanations. You owe yourself peace. People often ask, how do I make them see me differently? The better question is, how do I start treating myself differently? Change doesn't begin with them, it begins with you. Stop over-explaining. Stop chasing closure. Stop proving your worth. Stay in your truth, quietly and consistently. Hold space for your own value, even when no one is applauding. The moment you become inaccessible to chaos, inconsistency, emotional crumbs, is the moment people start feeling the weight of your absence. In that absence, they realize what your presence truly meant. But you can't teach them that lesson if you keep returning too soon, giving another chance, another excuse, another piece of yourself. You think you're being loving, forgiving, patient, but you're betraying your own standard. Love without self-respect isn't love. It's attachment, wearing a mask, fear pretending to be compassion. There's nothing wrong with having a soft heart, but your softness means nothing if it's not protected by strong boundaries. Stop chasing acceptance. Start cultivating. You're not here to endlessly prove your value to those who choose to ignore it. You're here to be authentic, unwavering, and undeniably you, a rare find. Sometimes, the most loving act is walking away from the endless loops of conversation, the anxiety-inducing connections, the situations where you're constantly justifying yourself, always trying to please. Your energy is precious, and the sooner you realize that, the clearer it'll become that not everyone deserves access. Those who do won't need convincing. They'll see it, respect it, and reciprocate. You teach people how to treat you by refusing to tolerate anything less than you deserve. We often fall into the trap of believing that external validation, being chosen, will finally make us feel enough. But the truth is, if you don't already feel your worth, being chosen won't fill the void. It'll just become another performance, another mask, leaving you emptier than before, surrounded by people drawn to the persona, not the real you. True elevation comes not from being liked, but from being true. The world's full of nice, agreeable people, but few are unforgettable. Unforgettable isn't about fitting in. It's about standing out, not by trying to be different, but by daring to be real. That means ditching the need to please everyone, because universal approval comes at the cost of self. You'll dull your edges, soften your truth, dim your light, just to avoid discomfort. But you weren't born to be a diluted version of yourself. When you carry yourself like the prize you are, something shifts in how people perceive you. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. The quiet knowing that your presence is a gift, your time sacred, your energy not to be wasted. This isn't about superficial confidence. It's about the hard work of inner healing, of facing your wounds and learning to tend to them without demanding others do it for you. It's about not confusing attention with love, or closeness with depth. Most people are so desperate for validation, they forget to validate themselves, waiting for someone else to confirm their beauty, intelligence, worth. But if your value hinges on someone else's perception, it was never truly rooted in truth. You don't become valuable when someone recognizes it. You already are. Their recognition doesn't make you real. It simply reveals whether they're capable of seeing clearly. And not everyone is. Some will ignore you because they're drawn to chaos. Some will resist you because your calm threatens their patterns. Some will walk away because they can't consume you the way they've consumed others. Let them. Your job isn't to be digestible to those with no appetite for depth. It's to stay true to yourself, your path, your standards. You don't win by chasing. You don't win by proving. You win by becoming so secure in your essence that anyone who doesn't honor it simply walks away, not because you pushed them, but because they could withstand the presence of someone who no longer needs to be chosen to feel complete. That is, when your life changes, when you stop trying to convince the world of your worth and start walking as if it is unquestionable, when you stop shrinking to fit in, when you stop tolerating half-hearted efforts, half love, half attention, Real value isn't loud. It doesn't campaign. It simply is. It speaks for itself in how you speak to yourself, what you allow, what you no longer entertain. There's a difference between being wanted and being respected. Many will want you. Few will respect you. But those who do will treat you as a standard, not a backup plan. The only way to attract that level of reverence is to first give it to yourself. Stop settling for less. Stop giving your value to those who